TNA Wrestling crossed that line again with another live episode of TNA Impact. There was, well, lots happened to say the least. But before we get into that, we need to congratulate two new signs, I think even three new signs for TNA. Octagon Jr., who we've seen before. He was on our screens not too long ago in TNA. Very exciting prospect. Was teaming with Laredo Kid, if memory serves me right. So if that signing is true, that one's not, I don't think, being officially confirmed. I think he posted something on his Instagram page that said he had been signed by TNA. If that's true, then that's great acquisition for TNA. But two names from over here in the UK, Myla Grace and Harley Hudson have finally signed. Now, those of you that know Harley Hudson will know that she did indeed win the gut check a year or so ago. From what I do know is she's coming up on Impact very, very soon, and that is going to be a tremendous signing for TNA. I know Gal Kim's, I know Gal Kim's no longer there, but I know she was influential in that getting Harley Hudson in, and the fact that now she's seemingly signed for TNA is a fantastic acquisition. She is tremendously talented as well. So congratulations to all three. And we look forward to definitely seeing a few of you on Impact in the coming weeks. Let's get into it, shall we? Joe Hendry, of course, the birthday boy, started TNA Impact this week off the back of being attacked by Trick Williams. If those of you that remember Rebellion, he was attacked by Trick Williams, and he was calling him out basically. He wants Trick Williams, and he was coming to NXT as well, and I think Dark Trace, which is a team in NXT, also attacked Joe Hendry. I believe got into it on NXT this week, but calling out Trick Williams. Trick Williams' music did hit. There was no Trick Williams. He appeared on the screen, said he's not there tonight, but he will be watching him. More on that very, very soon. But Joe Hendry will be teaming with the Hardys, I believe, in the main event against Frankie Kazarian and the new TNA Tag Team Champions, the Nemeth brothers. And so as you all know, the Nemeths walked out with the gold, beat the Hardy Boys for those championships. Go backstage briefly, and Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel appear. Zachary Wentz, he's actually fired up because he's taking on Moose tonight for the X Division Championship in TNA, and smoke the usual "smoke him if you got him" phrase wraps things up, which was no, but yeah, Zachary Wentz pinned Moose on the pay-per-view, so they gave them an opportunity at the X Division Championship, which is fair for them, fair for Zachary anyway. Now, interestingly, we come back from the commercial and we're with Sammy Callahan and Mence Warner, who, as you guys know, went to absolute hell in that barbed wire ropes match a couple of weeks ago. And interestingly, after some bit of back and forth comments, they've decided that what they went through Unbreakable, they have respect for each other. They don't like each other, but they've agreed on a truce for now. So we won't be getting any more crazy matches between them two, at least in the short term. In the long term, who knows? But I'm kind of glad we're not going to get any more from them two because they actually literally ripped each other to shreds in that one. But anyway, finally, after quite a long period, we get a match in the Impact Zone, and it's the Blue Chipper Mike Santana versus Isaiah Moore. To be quite honest, it wasn't really a match. It was a squash. Santana probably won this in about 2 minutes, maybe less than that. He hit his spin the block finisher to pick up the result. Now, what I will say with TNA Plus as well, there was a bit of an issue early on in the broadcasting of TNA Plus, hence why this recording is late. I need to watch the whole start of it again. So there was about 15 minutes or so that was delay. It kept cutting out. The microphone actually from Mike Santana kept cutting out at this point as well. But he did mention that he respects Joe Hendry, but he is coming for his championship. Like I said, Mike Santana should be TNA World Champion this year at some point, in my opinion, anyway. But what he did say was after he beat Mustafa Ali at Rebellion, he finds himself at the bottom of another mountain, which he's climbing, and that mountain is to get to Joe Hendry and the World Heavyweight Championship. So we'll see if he does that. I think he will. I think he'll be there probably around October time, maybe Bound for Glory, something like that. But we will see TNA. But Mike Santana making quick work this week. He wasn't getting paid by the hour this week, that's for sure. Um, at Rebellion, we saw the Northern Armory attack Steve Macklin. Well, they done it exactly the same. As Macklin was coming out, they blindsided him again. Judas Sicarius, Travis Williams was beaten, and Eric Young joined in 3-on-1. They were hanging him over by a massive steel chain over the ropes again. It's he's not happy, is Macklin. Let's face it, at this point, and he's been getting beaten up by these lot by quite a number of weeks now. But he did, when the show returned from a commercial, he was backstage. Macklin was going crazy backstage, but he does get a rematch with Eric Young in 2 weeks' time on TNA. So we're going to get another one between those two in the coming weeks on TNA. So it should be a good one in 2 weeks. Macklin and Eric Young rematch from Rebellion. Not sure if the Northern Armory will make their presence felt on this, but nevertheless, Macklin, Young in 2 weeks' time again. Maybe the championship will be on the line again. I don't know. We will wait and see. Speaking of championships on the line, that brings me nicely to the X Division Championship. Challenger Zachary Wentz pinned champion Moose at Rebellion. Well, Zachary Wentz gets his opportunity this week. What I liked about this was Zachary's was always start. We're always going to start off quick in this match. He was always there's the pace, the speed, the quickness, the agility of Zachary. You got Moose he can literally do anything, to be quite honest with you. That's why this match really worked. And again, before I say this every week, Moose is so adaptable at working so many different styles that you think it ain't going to work and you think a match won't work, and then he does. And you're just like, why did I doubt it in the first place? But I will say this again. Every week that we've had TNA, we've said that the interference from Alicia Edwards, in my opinion, is degrading Moose a little bit, because Moose is more than capable of picking up victories on his own. He doesn't really need assistance. And even though this match was against someone in TNA that arguably could beat him, I felt as if, once again, Moose didn't need interference to pick up a victory against him. But Alicia Edwards gets involved at the end, and again, Moose picks the victory. The problem with this now is it's becoming too repetitive, because you've got so many different members of the system as well. And Alicia comes out pretty much every match. It is it's very annoying now, and it's becoming to a stage where, actually, in my opinion, the system are just dropping. Although they should be climbing, they're actually going down, because I sit there and go, well, they can't actually win a match, can they? Moose should be a dominating X Division champion. That's what he's proclaimed to be. But he's not. He's actually a weak X Division champion because he keeps needing outside help to win matches. That's not how it should work. And I think TNA need to be careful, but they need to kind of, like I said this about 3 weeks ago, and they haven't done. They need to reel it in a little bit with this interference, because it really does make your champion, especially your champion with Eddie Edwards, Dango and Myers. I can understand it a little bit, especially because Alicia Edwards is Eddie Edwards' wife. I can understand that a lot more, but not your champion, not the main man of the system. Doesn't need to be getting assistance every single week to pick up wins. It shouldn't work like that, for me personally anyway. And it just makes Moose, in my opinion, actually, it downgrades him. And it doesn't make him a believable champion in the X Division when he should be. There we go. Rant over for now. Cody Deaner comes out next, and in fact, he said his contract's coming up for renewal. Doesn't know what the future holds. It looks like he's perhaps, leaving TNA Wrestling. He's got obviously multiple kids and whatever. Santino Marella interrupts this at this point. So look, he doesn't have the power to renew his contract, but what he has done has got him a match at Under Siege in a couple of weeks' time, which is 23rd of May, I think, if memory serves me rightly. He's got a match with Eddie Edwards at Under Siege, and should he win Zed match against Eddie Edwards, he is allowed to stay in TNA Victory. TNA Victory? TNA Impact. I'm thinking of Victory Road for a minute. But then that brings out NXT's Robert Stone and Victoria Crawford, who we know from the WWE as Alicia Fox, who's making her debut in the Impact Zone. And he's got a bit, he's now the deputy. Oh, sorry. Robert Stone has come out and he comes out with the deputy authority, Alicia Fox. They were talking trash about Dina. They also said about um, Santino, about he's watching Santino. So something's going on there between Santino and Robert Stone. Is Robert Stone trying to get in as director of TNA Authority? I don't know. But they did make a match for Under Siege, and it's a Knockouts Championship match. It's not a rematch for Tessa Blanchard. However, it is Masha Slamovich defending the TNA Knockouts Championship against Victoria Crawford, who I haven't seen wrestle for quite some time as Alicia Fox. So it is interesting. And I'm looking forward to seeing Alicia Fox or Victoria Crawford back in action in a couple of weeks' time at at the next show, at Under Siege, which of course is live on the TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded, get subscribed, get your TNA fix week in, week out. Get that championship package, and you can see that includes pay-per-views, and it also includes the Vault, where you can watch TNA legends gone by like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, and so much more. I mentioned Tessa just then about not being involved in a knockouts match, but she was approaching Robert Stone and Crawford backstage, and she said it's time for someone to replace Santa who can call the shots like Robert Stone. So you can see where we're going here with this. It looks like Santino, could even be Victoria Crawford, who's the deputy. Maybe those things are changing. And it would make sense for an NXT person to come in and have the deputy part of it. Then maybe you could bring someone from TNA into NXT and have a deputy there for Ava, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Back in the Impact Zone, and it is knockouts action. Maggie Lee, one of the new members of TNA, takes on Jody Fret, which is a really, really good match. Maggie Lee is being sort of touted as going into the elegances. I think that's safe to say. Since she's arrived at TNA, there's been a bit of, to and fro with her and the elegances. Maybe the Ash and Heather are looking for another person for the stable who could happen with these two. I like this knockout. I do like knockouts. I mean, knockouts is just ridiculously good anyway. But I do like this. I did like the match between the two, should I say. This one resulted in Jody Fret, though, defeating Maggie Lee for this in this match. I was quite surprised by that. I did kind of think Maggie Lee, bit of momentum building, newish to the company. Perhaps it was, building her up a little bit, but no, not on this occasion. But kind of makes more sense to what happens after they go backstage into the locker room. Heather and Ash and George Iceman are there. They asked her what happened out there. They said the best thing to do for her is to get a makeover. And they pump up and leave. Now, what that means, if she gets the makeover, does that mean that she joins it like Heather did when she was trying to get when they sort of try to get Heather to join Ash? Is that what they're doing? Are they doing that? We have to find out. But Maggie Lee lost to Jody Fret, but it's kind of been given an opening with the Elegance. Will she be Maggie by Elegance? Who knows? A knockout, a new knockout that we saw at Rebellion was in the Impact Zone for the first time. That was Indy Hartwell. And they said before, Indy's going to be a great, great acquisition for TNA. I can't wait to see what happens in her first feud, where she's been building up to. She's going to be one of the hardest working women outside of wrestling, so she's going to be a real solid acquisition for TNA. We're not going to talk about releases that have happened. That will be on the SmackDown review that you'll see a bit later today. We'll talk in depth about the people that have been released. Actually, we won't talk in depth. We'll just say potential destinations for those that don't like to talk too much about releases. Don't think it's very fair, especially as it's still rather raw. It only happened a few days ago, but we'll get into that on the SmackDown review shortly. And pretty much, she just basically followed up her promo with Rebellion with the exact same promo, just basically that Indy Hartwell's crossed the line and plugs her first T-shirt, which fair, you got make some money off your merch. Yeah, I've been looking forward to seeing Indy in action though, as we get the weeks go by on Impact, we'll find out where she fits into knockouts. Is it? I don't think it'll be straight for the championship. I think she'll be building up to potentially an opportunity there. I mean, first feuds there, maybe Rosemary, something like that. It'd be good to get her in with an experienced head in there straight away. Someone like a Rosemary would probably work very, very well. Alicia Edwards, if she's going to go that way and look at, potentially for the system, I don't know. Um, well, it's going to be exciting times for Indy Hartwell in TNA wrestling. That is without a doubt. Next one. The match that I was probably most looking forward to on TNA Impact was Casey Navarro and Leon Slater. Now, those of you that saw Rebellion, or those of you that seen social media, have been a little bit, shall we say, there's been a bit of controversy around the dive that Leon done off the top of the pole, and not people not catching him and whatnot, and us wrestling specialists or whatever you want. Look, we don't know. At the end of the day, it didn't look great, but these things happen, right? It's wrestling. These moves are very much timed, and they're very, most times out of 10, they go through fine. There's no issue. The odd occasion something happens, and yes, they didn't catch him. He hit the floor. His face hit the floor. It's a move that it's called high risk for a reason, right? There's no need to go on to social media and to berate the people that should have caught him. They it it's a move. These moves go wrong sometimes. That is wrestling. How many times have we seen people get injured through moves that have gone wrong in the ring? Or this case, often Ultimates. But I did say, and just on a lighter note before we carry on, I did say on my interview with Leon, which you can see if you go on to the special guest interview section of this podcast, you'll see my interview with Leon Slater. I did say, no doubt you're going to do something stupid off the top of that X Division pole. I was right. But look, no, in all seriousness aside, just don't berate the people who didn't catch him. It was a move. It happened. It went a little bit wrong. It's not the end of the world. But this match was brilliant. Of course it was. Leon and Casey it was just everything you can make. Casey Navarro is an absolute star in the making over there in TNA as well, as is Leon. We know that. Everyone knows Leon Slater's a star. If you didn't know, then you've not been watching TNA on TNA Plus. You certainly haven't been seeing the stuff that gets posted, the good stuff that gets posted on social media. He is brilliant. But Casey Navarro probably goes under the radar a little bit just because was with AJ Francis in First Class and whatnot. But he's also a fantastic, fantastic wrestler. And these two had a brilliant encounter. Probably match of the night, in my opinion, on TNA this week. And it should have been. And to be fair, you're not really going to argue with it, are you? When those two in the ring. Leon Slater did pick up the win with his Swanton 450, of course. He's going to do it, isn't he? That's the type of guy that he is. He's fantastic. He's tremendous young talent in TNA. The future is so, so bright. And who knows? He could be at a show over in the UK very, very soon. Buckle up. Yeah. On that note, let's move to the main event, which was Joe Hendry and the Hardys against Frankie Kazarian, and of course the Nemeth brothers. Now, again, it was a great. It was just when you got the Hardys in the ring, standard Hardys match, of course. Joe Hendry added that a bit of extra to it. The Nemeth brothers and Frankie Kazarian obviously lost his Call Your Shot match to Joe Hendry. Well, I really think he should be piping up about that being a one-on-one match, to be quite honest with you. I think, it's a little bit of a. I can understand him being a little bit frustrated with that, to be fair. So perhaps he should be saying that a little bit more. But yeah, this was your standard six-man main event. Fun as ever with these six. However, Joe Hendry hits the "We Will Rock You" and then hits Nemeth with a standing ovation. And just when you think he's going to win, out comes Trick Williams and he yanks Hendry out of the ring. And Nemeth hits the danger zone on Jeff Hardy in the ring for the victory. And at the end of the match, those three celebrate in the ring. And then, just before it goes off the air, by the way, Trick is alone with Hendry in the ring. He hits a trick shot finisher on Joe Hendry, and that is how this week's live TNA wrestling goes off the air. I thought the show overall, I thought it was good. I feel out of the other two live ones that we've seen, this was the weakest one, in my opinion. There was obviously issues with the TNA Plus app. There was issues with the sound at the show. That didn't really matter. So I just, when you go back and watch the other two, it just feels a bit more. There was just a bit more exciting. There was a lot of talking on this one, which generally for me, I don't really like, especially when you've only got 2 hours to do your show. Yeah, I enjoyed it still. I still very much enjoyed it. Under Siege in a couple of weeks is looking good as well. But I just felt, considering the other two, the bar was set. And I just think they didn't quite deliver where they needed to deliver on it. In my opinion, of course. You guys can have your own opinions on it, and that is fair. But as enjoyable as it was, didn't quite hit the heights of the other two live episodes that we've had. But there you go. Some do, some don't. That's the beauty of watching wrestling every week, right? TNA will be back with us this coming Friday, of course. It'll be back in its regular time slot. But again, like I said before, the only way to watch it at the moment is to get on the TNA Plus app, get it downloaded, get subscribed. I would get the championship package because I like to watch the pay-per-views which are included in the championship package, and of course all the archive stuff that of years gone by. And like I said before, the exciting legends in TNA, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels. But if you download it, get subscribed, you just want to watch Impact, you can absolutely do that. And that is also an option on there every week as well. So make sure you do that. And make sure you follow us at HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, on all other social media platforms. If you're watching this today, a Monday, SmackDown review will be on a bit later on. But until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe. Goodbye.